We just have another day.
Yeah. Okay. So I left out the title because evidently that's controversial. So we'll just talk about the lab where you're using the lighter, that one. So basically, you're just trying to figure out the value of the ideal gas constant. We're going to pretend we don't know it, which we do because we just talked about it today in class. But we're going to pretend we don't, and see if we can figure out how to design a procedure here where you can figure out R. Now, I may be stating the obvious here, okay? But if we're talking about Puvnert, if you're trying to solve for R, then you need to know everything else, right? I mean, again, I'm probably stating the obvious. But your procedure, you need to figure out a way to measure gas pressure. Now, again, the gas that we're going to be using, just to put some constraints on it, is butane, C4H10, that comes out of the lighters, okay? So we need to figure out some way to measure the pressure of that gas, or to know what the pressure of that gas is, I guess I should say. We need to figure out the volume of the gas. We need to figure out how many moles of the gas we have, and we need to know the temperature of the gas. If we know all four of those things, then we can solve for R. Okay? So your strategy, whatever it is, it needs to involve solving for those, or measuring, I should say, all four of those variables so that you can solve for R. Okay? So just, again, some suggestions here. Obviously, the thermometer is probably going to help you with the T, most likely. The 100 milliliter graduated cylinder could help you potentially with the volume. The barometer might help you with the pressure. You can figure out some way to design the lab so that your gas ends up at atmospheric pressure, then we can just measure the pressure of the room using the barometer and then assume that the gas is that same pressure. And then we need to measure the number of moles, which that might be a little bit trickier. How would we measure the number of moles? Oh yeah, we can't measure moles in this lab, right? But we can measure the mass. So you got to figure out some way to measure the mass of gas. Okay? So that's in some sense at least how you would measure all the variables. The question you might be having is, how am I going to do that if the gas is in the lighter? So your other big hint here, when you're designing your procedure, the gas does not need to stay in the lighter. Okay? If you can move the gas somewhere else, you might have an easier time with these measurements. Okay? Gas does not, just in case someone's just watching and not listening, need to stay in the lighter. Okay? And then maybe I'll talk a little bit more about the pneumatic trough and the water, because you might be wondering what that is there for. I'm trying to decide how much to tell you here. I will tell you this. We assembled a pneumatic trough and water last year when we did our molar volume of hydrogen lab, and that was the lab where we had the reacted the hydrochloric acid with the magnesium that was in a copper cage. Remember that one? And it bubbled up, made a bunch of hydrogen bubbles. Okay. Well, I will say that the setup that we had could have been considered a pneumatic trough. Okay. So if that helps any of you out, that it's that molar volume of hydrogen lab from last year. That could give you maybe some idea of a direction to go on a procedure. What else can I tell you here? I'm just trying to decide how much to give away. Okay, I'll give you 2 more hints, and I hope this doesn't make it too easy. If you wanted a challenge, I guess maybe you wouldn't be watching the video. So, first hint here is that when you press down the trigger on the lighter, I don't know how much you know about lighters, but when you press down on the trigger, it's going to release butane. Okay? The release of butane along with the spark causes a flame, but if you just press down on the trigger, it just releases the butane. Okay? The other hint is this will work even if you do it underwater. Okay? So there's your other hint, okay? If you press the trigger down underwater, it will still release the gas. Obviously, you won't get a flame if it's underwater, so you don't have to worry about lighting yourself on fire. I don't know that you really need to worry about that with a lighter anyway, but so there's your other 2 hints, all right? So the gas doesn't need to stay in the lighter. You can get the gas out of the lighter by pressing the trigger, just because I don't know how much some of you know about lighters. And you can, that will work even if you put it underwater, okay? So between all of those hints, what I'm hoping is that you guys will come up with some idea, okay? And just, again, keep in mind that what you're doing, you need to measure all 4 of these variables: the pressure, the volume, the number of moles, and the temperature. You have to either measure all 4 of those variables or be able to calculate all 4 of them, okay? So that you can solve for R. All right? And I guess that's basically all I'm going to say on this one, because I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to give too much away. I want you guys to have a chance to actually think this through and see if you can figure it out, okay? So hopefully you guys come in tomorrow with really good procedures, and we'll be able to hit the ground running. All right, that's it.